Welcome back, True Seeker. It is Monday, October 21st, 2024. 15 days to the rig selection and more political theater by the numbers. The breaking headline this morning: the Central Park Five suing Donald Trump. And of course, this has been something attached to Trump since 1989 when he called for the death penalty of teenagers who were wrongly convicted of assaulting a jogger in Central Park. And Central Park's a recurring theme with Trump. You might recall back when he was running for office in 2016, there was a tombstone set up in Central Park that just had Donald Trump, the name on it, and said, "Made America Hate Again." And anyhow, we were covering the little riddle with that once upon a time. We've covered a lot of riddles with Donald Trump news by the numbers, and this one's going to be as undeniable as the rest. It makes me wonder if the Central Park Five thing was just political theater this entire time, meant to be attached to Donald Trump, because recall, it happened April 19th, that infamous day, 1989, the day that's very special to the Jesuit order. Of course, Trump went to Fordham, the Jesuit school in New York, but April 19th is the day in history that Ignatius of Loyola became the first superior general of the Jesuits. It's a fateful day throughout history. The Revolutionary War began that day. Of course, Waco, Oklahoma City, a number of other things. It goes beyond the United States. Canada lost their gun rights the other year after the April 19th, 2020 mass shootings. But April 19th, 1989, when this incident occurred, was almost 1 year after Donald Trump had gone on Oprah Winfrey on April 25th, 1998, and talked about potentially being the president someday. And recall, when he was running in 2015 and 2016, this came up. And now here we are, right at the climax of 2024's election, and boom, the Central Park Five with the biggest headline yet to date. And we're going to look at how perfect it is. Keep in mind, this happened in 89. We've been talking about how many stories from 89 have come up in 2024. Again, 89 is the 24th prime number. Kamala Harris was 24 years old at the time. Trump was 42 when the Central Park Five incident happened. But look at this, you guys. Look at it. We'll start right here. Central Park Five has the gematria of 71, like Kamala Devi Harris. And remember, Donald Trump is trying to become the nation's second Grover Cleveland, a president who died at age 71. Trump also, the year he took office, his first year in office was the year he turned 71. Remember, he had his GOP convention down in Cleveland. But Grover Cleveland was the only split-term president. He was number 22, and he was number 24. Trump announced at the end of 2022 that he was running in 2024. He'd become the nation's second split-term president if he won. And they have this photo here, the Central Park Five, from May of 2019, when Netflix put out the show about the incident that happened to them, When They See Us. And that premiere was May 31st, 2019. From that day to this lawsuit today, it's 281 weeks later. Okay, 281 weeks, that matters because that's the 60th prime number. And notice the name of the documentary, When They See Us, it equates to 60. Donald Trump, of course, has the 60 gematria. Donald Trump's now participated in about 1,060 rituals with the election. Yesterday, Kamala Harris turned 60 years old. Again, this upcoming election is the 60th U.S. presidential election. Donald Trump, the most brutal of all the 60 rituals, and there's been a lot of them, but the most brutal was exactly 60 weeks into the first Jesuit Ignatian year, July 14, 2022. That morning, Trump said he would run for the election, which was the 60th, and then later that day, the news broke that his ex-wife fell down the stairs and died exactly 60 weeks into the first Jesuit Ignatian year, and then they buried her in a Jesuit ritual. And don't forget, the first 10 years that the Jesuits were with the Roman Catholic Church, the Catholic Church limited their order to 60 members. Alvin Bragg, remember the whole Joker thing? They just filmed the Joker movie in the same courtroom that then Trump appears in days later to receive the 34 charges. And he appeared in court on what would have been the 44th birthday of Heath Ledger, who died while playing the Joker. He appeared in court on April 4th, 2023. Trump did for the first time right after they filmed the Joker scene there. Literally on Heath Ledger's, what would have been his 44th birthday on 4/4. Fateful day as well. First president to ever die in office died on that day. MLK assassinated on that day. But it's a reminder that Trump was number 45, but because of Grover Cleveland's split term, the count's been off ever since he became number 24. Trump was also the 44th person to be president. He had the beef with number 44, Obama, elected 44 years after the Civil Rights Act. Again, just all the indictments that Trump's gone through, they've all been 60 rituals, every last one of them. The one that's got the majority of attention is, of course, in New York, also where the Central Park 5 case is, where last night the New York Liberty won the first WNBA championship for their franchise after it went to overtime 60-60. And all year I was showing that they were syncing up the Liberty with Kamala and the news cycles in the election, and talking about all year on Patreon. Kept pointing out, I said, it looks like they're going places this year, the Liberty. Looks like they might be the team this year based on everything they're doing. They had to go to overtime to win it. And look, the Minnesota Lynx coach is coming out saying that the game was a travesty. It was all won by the officials. And what else is new in rigged sports? How do people keep going to these games? How do people keep voting in these rigged selections? We've been here now for 11 years proving what's undeniable about how rigged the game is and why nobody should be supporting any of this stuff, how connected it all is. But again, Kamala's 60, and again, look it up, it's facts. When Willie Brown was 60 years old, Kamala was in her 20s, and she started dating him. She's riding Willie's Willie to the top. Next thing you know, she's high up in the political ladder in San Francisco. Next thing you know, she's 60 years old just in time for the 60th election, and she's nearly the president of the United States. Supposedly, Tim Walzer, VP, 60 years old, looks about 75. All they got to do is change his Wikipedia to 60, and boom, he is. Again, this is the 60th presidential election. Every time I explain these things, how could it be the 60th when they're running to be number 47? It's like, do you have any critical thinking skills? Have you ever heard of a split-term president, or not split terms, multi-term presidents? It's like Obama won the 56th election and the 57th. That wasn't the 44th election and then the 44th election again. It's just like people's like critical thinking skills are just so low. People just want to run their mouths without thinking for 2 seconds. Anyway, 60s all over the place. And just to remind you about what they did to poor Ivana 45 years after her marriage to Trump. Again, the headline said she fell downstairs, has the Jesuit encoding all over it. And remember these numbers, because we're going to come back to it with the name of this film and the Central Park 5 thing. But then remember, they buried her on the 201st day of the year. If you're new here, the Jesuits gave us the language in the calendar. They run the whole nation. It's why the inauguration day was moved to 20/1, the 201st day of the nation's age. It's also why the capital was moved to D.C., where the Jesuits set up camp when they came to America. The Jesuits run this nation. And in light of, that's his wife who gave him his first child, Donald Trump Jr. Don't forget that Trump Jr. Was born on the 201st day of Trump's age. He was married to Ivana at Marble Collegiate Church 201. Norman Vincent Peale was the leader of ceremonies. Joe Biden's done the exact same things. Joe Biden's life's the exact same. Sacrificed his wife, daughter, and son all in 201 rituals. 201 Jesuit priests all along the way for the whole thing. This isn't just about Trump. Again, Kamala couldn't pass the bar until she took it at the Jesuit University in the Bay Area, which means she probably never really passed it. They said, okay, you're going to be our puppet. You're going to do our bidding. Here's your certificate. Congratulations. But yeah, the first ever Jesuit Ignatian year began on Cannonball Day, the anniversary of Ignatius Loyola being shot with a cannonball. And it went till July 31st, 2022, which is the day in history Ignatius Loyola died. So this was exactly 60 weeks in that Donald Trump's ex-wife dies, on the same day that he says he's running in this election. And you might recall there was another story that day before his wife died. It was conservatives against Trump, and they said he wasn't legally fit to run again, and it was based on 60 cases against Trump. Obviously, there's a lot more now with all the indictments and things like this. But see, all of this is connected. So here's another legal case coming against Trump right as we get down to Election Day. Again, you can go back and revisit all the work we covered July 14, 2022. 3 big stories that day, all about 60. And now here we are, right before the election, where we've documented 1,000 other 60 things in between. So if you're new here, there are 4 base ciphers of the English language: the alphabetic order with numerology, the reverse alphabetic order with numerology. It's very intuitive. And, you learn these ciphers, you see through the rituals. So we just talked about how the lawsuit comes 281 weeks after the premiere of the film about this, the 60th prime number, one day after Kamala's 60th birthday. We're going to hit the 57 part in a moment. Understand 177 and 174, very Jesuit numbers, very New World Order numbers. You hear those presidents utter that phrase, New World Order. The New World Order is the Jesuit order. They're worldwide. They gave us the calendar as we know it, the language as we know it. Again, you'll have no doubt about it. Just go to their universities and see the things etched and written on their walls about how they're the driving force of globalization. The Jesuits are the New World Order. So anyhow, Alvin Bragg, did the ritual with Trump by the numbers, the whole court spectacle, total joke. But again, it goes beyond language, right? If the only proof we ever had was just turning numbers into words and saying it's the Jesuits, if that's all we ever had, that wouldn't be enough proof of anything. But see, what my work's always shown beyond that, and this is what a lot of decoders don't get, because they're just turning numbers into words, and that's all that their work ever is just numbers into words. You got to show the historical significance of dates and who these people are connected to. Like, Trump is Jesuit educated. Kamala could not pass the bar until she took it to the Jesuit University. April 19th, the day the Central Park 5 thing happened, is a very special day to the Jesuits. Again, it's the day in history that Ignatius of Loyola became the first superior general. And remember, Ignatius of Loyola equals 201, like the Jesuit order. The first Jesuit pope, we're living in his time right now, Pope Francis, first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. His birth name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, 201. On and on and on. But again, the incident happened April 19th. April 19th. Remember how 201 Oklahoma City was? It's all 201s. Timothy McVeigh, Terry Lynn Nichols, Mercury Marquis, on and on and on. If you go to the bombing site, there's a Masonic temple. Remember, the Jesuits created modern Freemasonry. There's a Masonic temple that was just, well, it wasn't all the way destroyed, but it was very much damaged by the explosion. And there's a thing there about how it sold for $201,000. The land in the damaged building after the bombing just happened to sell for $201,000 with all the 201s encoded on it. Again, it's all symbolic. But yeah, right now they're both running to be number 47. It comes back to Central Park 47. Remember, president equals 47. So does White House. So does government. So does authority. So does Republican. So does Democrat. Even the letters DC alone, 47. Vatican, 47. Speaking of authority, the Masons study the 47th problem of Euclid. This nation's birthday is the 4th day of the 7th month. Trump in the 47 story. Hilton Hotel the night of the rig selection in 2016. Trump equals 47. Kamala spoke at the DNC on the anniversary of Huey P. Newton's death at 47. Yesterday on her birthday, the Washington Commanders beat the Panthers 47 points in the game. We said before the game it was going to be about Kamala because her dad came up with Huey P. Newton, the founder of the Black Panthers. And that's why they had her speak at the DNC on the anniversary of his death at 47. So Central Park's another one of these 47s. We were talking about that way back when with the Trump tombstone thing. Well, think about this too. Again, Trump was 42 at the time. Kamala was 24. Watch how perfect all this is. Again, remember, Kamala's 42 is this number stamped all over Black history. Kamala's mom, when she died right after Obama became president on the Vatican's birthday, February 11th, 2009. That's the 42nd day of the year. When Biden passed the torch to Kamala, again, it was 42 months and a day after they took office. Kamala equals 42. Georgetown and Jesuit are 42. Georgetown's the first Jesuit university. Slavery. Slaves built Georgetown. They built D.C. They built the White House. Remember, it's the Jesuits who are baiting everywhere about reparations, and it's just another mockery and tactic to cause division, bring up history, keep people fighting over the past. Every reparations baiter is a Jesuit, and we were showing that Tone Talks guy who's on YouTube doing that. Jesuit educated, and yeah, I called into Tone Talks recently and had a really good call, and then he took down his whole live stream and cut out my phone call and then put the stream back up. So it just goes to show who's ever behind like a guy like Tone Talks, who isn't like super famous or even that huge, but has a fairly popular show on YouTube. Somebody did not like that I called in and dropped all this information about the code and the Jesuits. And then when I called in, I didn't realize he was a Jesuit educated lawyer himself. I found that out after, and I said, oh my God, small world. But anyway, again, you guys, that should also be the evidence of how relevant the work is. That guy will allow all kinds of dumb, irrelevant calls into his show, but somebody calls in and drops all these facts about the Jesuits and their little code, and he's got to take down his whole live stream and clip the whole segment out. Anyway, slavery, Tuskegee, Malcolm X, Martin, Jackie, the list goes way, it's way deeper than that. Again, the 42 list, it goes on and on forever and ever. February, Huxtable, Cosby Show, a million more things. But look at this. From Kamala's 24th birthday to the Central Park 5 incident, April 19th, that was 181 days later, and 181 is the 42nd prime number. You see what I mean? See how perfect it is? And we've been pointing this out, how Kamala was born the year of the Civil Rights Act, 110 days after the Civil Rights Act, when president equals 110, and now she's the closest a woman's ever been to being the president, you know, riding in with Joe Biden like Obama did. Joe Biden said his only qualification for a VP nominee was a black woman. His only qualification for a Supreme Court justice was a black woman. Puts in Ketanji Brown Jackson, is Dobbs Jackson overturns Roe v. Wade in a big 42 ritual. And then they say black women will be the most impacted. You know, all these things are symbolic, and they're all really twisted in sick jokes as well. Let's not forget, right before Biden passed the torch to Kamala, Michelle Obama's mom died. The longest serving black woman in Congress died, Sheila Jackson Lee. And Mexico also got its first female president, in a very Catholic nation. She just happened to be Jewish. It's a reminder the Jesuits were a Catholic-Jewish alliance in the 16th century. But yeah, Black history has that 181 gematria. We've talked about so many times how Obama's birthday to Black History Month is 181 days. President Obama equals 181, but 181 the 42nd prime. And the Central Park 5 is suing over Trump's false remarks in the debate with Kamala. And would you believe it, from the date of the debate to the lawsuit's 42 days. And going back in time, when the Central Park 5 thing happened, it happened 56 days before Trump's birthday. Remember, Black Lives Matter equals 56, like Society of Jesus, that's the formal title of the Jesuits, like Washington, D.C., so many rituals with this gang and this number. Black Lives Matter written on Church Street in D.C. on the 5th day of the 6th month. Obama, the first black president in the 56th election. Kamala took the White House with Biden at age 56. On and on and on. Don't even get me started on the scandemic 56 years after Trump's Jesuit education began at Fordham in 64, the same year Kamala was born. But notice, it was 56 days prior. If you count the span of days from the day it happened, April 19th, to Trump's birthday, you could also say it was a span of 57 days rather than 56 days prior. When they see us, 60, 57. Donald Trump, 60. 60th election, all these 60 rituals. Notice, from the anniversary of the incident to the lawsuit today, 185 days later, Donald John Trump, 185. Remember, look at the perfect overlap with mathematics and Catholicism. I should have put Donald John Trump up there too, because He's got the 68 and 185. Donald's 112. Donald J. Trump, his author name's 49. So totally connected to the same number code. And again, think about the Vatican's birthday, 11/2, the way the majority of the world writes it. Kamala Harris equals 112. Her mom died right after Obama took office on the 42nd day of the year. Vatican's birthday, 11/2. Yesterday, Dodgers, Cali team, winning the NLCS 4-2 in a perfect tribute to Jackie. Again, Jackie died in 72 on October 24th. The World Series is going to start one day after his birthday. Dodgers won at 10-5 last night. If Jackie were alive, he'd be 105 years old. It was the Dodgers' 105th win. But yeah, look at the overlap with Kamala and Jackie. 39, 123, 42. The only one that's different is a reshuffling of the numbers, 12 and 21. Remember all the 123 business. Joe Biden passed the torch to Kamala on July 21st, 123 days after Willie Brown's birthday. Chuck Schumer endorsed her days later, 123 days after his birthday. Beyonce gave her the song Freedom, which equals 123 and 42. And isn't it kind of funny how slavery's 42 like freedom? Isn't that kind of funny? We're enslaved to a system, and some people think they're free when you're obviously not. Or were you? Did you ever have the choice to go to slave school or not? Have 13 years of your life wasted pledging to 13 stripes? Is that a choice for you? After you get out, did you have a choice not to pay taxes to a tyrannical government? If you wanted to work, you got to pay them. Otherwise, they'll come put you in a cage. All in the name of freedom. But anyway, the 39 today they do this has a life lesson number, a 39. 10 plus 21 is 31, and then you add the year, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4 for 39. So today's life lesson number is 39. Federal's 39, Masonry, secrecy. 39 books in the Old Testament. This whole letters and numbers thing comes from Kabbalah, which pertains to the Torah. First 5 books of the Old Testament. But yeah, in light of how perfect all this is and how perfect it was back then, it makes me think, just like how the news always is scripted theater and ritualism. It looks like the Central Park 5 thing all along was just another divisive thing. And again, it did come almost a year to the day of Trump going on Oprah and talking about being president someday. Remember, Oprah equals 58. Oprah Winfrey also equals 58. Trump announced from the 58-story Trump Tower for the 58th election that he won. That was the year Prince died. Remember, Vanity, his girlfriend, died the day of the 58th Grammys. Then Prince died not long after. Purple Rain equals 58. Then from Prince's death, the election was 201 days. And then Bill and Hillary came out in purple to concede to Trump. Oprah wore purple at the DNC this year. She spoke against Trump when she was the one advocating for him to be president back in 1988. Purple equals 88, like Trump, like Elizabeth. Trump came out to Queen, We Are the Champions, 88 days after Elizabeth's birthday, which was also 88 days after Prince died. Poison also equals 88. Purple is the old color for poison. It's also the color of royalty. Of course, Oprah was in the color purple. But look at the day that Oprah interviewed Trump, April 25th. In a non-leap year, that's the 115th day of the year. In a leap year like 1988 was, it's the 116th day of the year. The terms that Trump was, or when Trump was in office, he was in office in the time of the 115th and 116th Congress after winning the 58th election. So I'm just, again, making the point. And remember, there was an episode of Suddenly Susan that came out in the 90s that came out on May 8th, 5/8, where Trump's the president. So again, just to remind how planned out and scripted all of this stuff is, how these people are born for this. And we're living out these long scripts. Like if this was a soap opera, let's just say that was season 1 of the Trump presidency, the making of a president. If 1988 was season 1, this is what? This is season, what are we in? Season 36? Or I guess it's 36 years later. This would be the 37th season. And you know what? That might be exactly how it is, because what was the other big stunt yesterday on Harris's birthday? Harris equals 37. Bucks County equals 37. We talked about how when Ray Kroc died, Mr. McDonald's, Trump was 37 at the time. Now he does this ritual on her birthday, and then he goes to the Steelers game where I told you Mr. McDonald was going to have a sack for the Jets, perfectly synced up with Trump, and he did. Both number 99s got sacks last night like we thought they would, especially the McDonald guy. But did you see the final score of the game? 37 points, 37-15, 52 points. Steelers became 5-2. Jets fell to 2-5 with Russell Wilson making his debut with the Steelers, the former Seahawks quarterback who lost Super Bowl 40 to the Steelers on February 5th, a date written 2-5 or 5-2. One team becomes 5-2, the other 2-5. Steelers became 19-7 versus the Jets in the regular season, like 197, the 45th prime. It was the guy who won Super Bowl 45 over the Steelers, losing with the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, who's been a practical joke in the NFL since he went against the pokey doke. And remember, when he went against the pokey doke, he did it on the day leaving 56 days left in the year. And his full name, Aaron Charles Rodgers, is 201, like it was the Event 201 simulation that got it out there. And when he had his little hoax injury on September 11th in the 201 area code, that should have been obvious to everyone. If you guys didn't know, that's the first area code in the history of area codes, too, the 201 in New Jersey. Like 2 towers became 0 before they became 1, and they made Donald Trump part of that day, too. Donald Trump came out that day and said he was worried about his insurance firm on floor 102. Go back and find the clip. He was worried about his insurance firm on floor 102. And remember, the federal government simulated the 9/11 attack with Operation Amalgam Virgo June 1st, 2001, 102 days before the attack. In Art of War, the only reason people know about that text, supposedly by Sun Tzu, there's no historical record of Sun Tzu ever existed. The only reason everybody knows about it is because of the Jesuit priest, Father Amiot, who wrote it and translated it and credited it to Sun Tzu. It was published 3 years before this nation was created. The nation always at war. And I get tired of hearing people say there were no wars under Trump. I get tired of hearing that. I mean, the guy did a ton of act of wars. He bombed all kinds of people. Just because people don't fight back, I mean, doesn't mean it wasn't a war. He used our military to kill brown people like every president does. Yeah, he is a racist. You got to be a racist to get in the White House. Kamala Harris is a racist too. You know, when she was AG, she supported laws that put predominantly darker complected people in prison. That's a qualification. You want to be president of the United States, you got to be a racist. You got to do things that are going to put darker complected people in lock cages. And yeah, other people who look like me can end up in the cages too from these unjust laws, but we all know how it is in this nation. You know, it's very disproportionate, the ratios. Minnesota Lynx head coach says WNBA title was stolen from her. And that's a half-truth. She plays in a rigged sports league. I mean, whole thing is a script. But I don't watch the WNBA. I'm sure it looked horrible. People left comments about how bad the officiating was at the end. What else is new? Who still goes to sports games and doesn't know that the officials control the game? I mean, it's not just the official, too. The players are in on it. The coaches are in on it. Whole thing's one big rigged game, all connected, like we've been showing you for over 11 years now. So, anyhow, appreciate that, Jaden. Appreciate the donation. Very generous. Thank you very much. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there for now. Again, thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. Hopefully this video gets some views. Again, it's just it's another perfect example of how scripted it all is. One day after Kamala's 60th birthday, 281 weeks after the premiere of the film about this, the 60th prime number, the lawsuit comes just days before the 60th election. It's New York again, where Alvin Bragg took down the braggart. Remember, Passover was 34, and they come up with 34 charges that were all based on one charge. And you guys said, oh, he had 34 charges. It's like, did you notice how all 34 charges were based on one thing? The whole 34 was just a joke. Passover, 34. God, I should pull up the whole list. It had to do with Biden. Hush money. Hush money. That was a big one. Hush money. 34, of course. Election for number 47. The election's on 11/5. There was a lot more to it. I have to go back and look at the full list. Nothing but jokes. Was Stormy one of them? Stormy takes the stand at age 45 days after her birthday. Trial ends 45 days after it began. Good job, Juan Merchant, 45. Well done, executed perfectly. Just whole thing's a joke. Yeah, and what else? Well, I'll tell you what's an even bigger joke at this point. That when people are looking for political news, we're not the most viral, biggest name on the subject. I mean, nobody's proven more. And here, I'll tell you what, I'm just done with making predictions. I don't need to predict anything else. I get tired of people coming here like, then predict something. I've predicted like everything correctly for the last 11 years. Congrats to the winners on the World Series. Just nailed both teams again. I don't even watch the WNBA. Said it looks like it's the Liberties year based on everything they were doing with the team in the news. Bada bing, bada boom. 11 years of it. Smoked the NFL again yesterday. Go back and watch what I said February 2016 about why Trump would be the president. Go back and watch everything I said about why Biden would be elected number 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. With every correct prediction, the channel gets less and less views because we get more and more censored in the algorithm. So there's no strategic reason for me to even continue to predict things correctly. Should have already earned the trust of the world based on the reputation and resume. And instead of looking out and seeing there's 400 people watching and we've racked up $2 to change the world, there should be like 4 million people tuned in, and we should have $2 million in super chats so that we can put billboards everywhere and have our buses everywhere and wake people up to what's actually going on. But that's not what's going on. That's what should be going on, but that's not what's going on. So it's just another day of working the ass off, and well, at least there's 400 people here, and at least we made $2 and not zero. So anyhow, we will leave it there for now. And again, thanks to everyone who does hit the like and share. And if you are new here, you should sub. And make sure you stay subbed because YouTube will always unsubscribe people. That's how they've kept the channel so small. If you don't know, 20-some channels have been deleted. We've been on the verge of 100,000 subs with 3 of the news channels. They all got terminated right before they hit it. This channel grows slower than any other because people are constantly being unsubscribed. And like even my Gematria Effect Sports, it was on the verge of 100,000 subs 2 March Madnesses ago. And then they shrunk it all the way down to 89,000, and they've just kept it at 89,000 now for about 2 years. And we all know that's a joke, because I always talk about the significance of 89 with yours truly. But again, major suppression algorithm to keep us contained. They used to say about Vince Carter. What they say? You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. It's like the same thing about yours truly. So, and big Jesuit Tech has done a good job of containing us. Otherwise, we would be reaching a lot more people, just like we used to back in 2017, 2016, even 2018. So anyway, we'll leave it there for now. And until next time, True Seeker. Oh, I see that, Kat. Thank you, Kat. Appreciate that.